Today is Thursday, June 11th, and we are done with ELA end of year assessments, which is awesome. So for the next 2 days, we're just doing regular ELA assignments on Common Lit, like we did 2 weeks ago. Today we will be focusing on this skill, cause and effect. Today's objective, students will be able to determine cause and effect in a story by looking at what happened and why. And your DOL is a Common Lit assignment. They need fire. Describing cause and effect. Learning target. Understanding cause and effect relationships will help you understand how and why events happen. Read. A heavy storm hits and a large tree falls. The storm is the cause or the reason the tree falls, and the fallen tree is the effect, or what happens as a result of the storm. The connection between these two events is an example of a cause and effect relationship. Understanding cause and effect can help you see how events and ideas are related. Writers often use the words such as because, if then, since, so, therefore, and as a result to signal and explain a cause and effect relationship. Now I will be reading a short story and filling out a cause and effect graphic organizer. The Night the Martians Landed by Scott Carey. October 30th, 1938 was perhaps the most frightening night that thousands of Americans would ever experience. It was the night that the science fiction novel The War of the Worlds was presented in the form of a radio news broadcast. Orson Welles, who would later become a famous movie actor and director, made the broadcast from a studio in New York City. The story was about Martians invading the Earth. Before the program began, Welles explained that the news broadcast was fiction, but many listeners tuned in late. Therefore, they missed Welles' explanation that this was a radio play. As a result, thousands of people thought that the Earth was really being invaded by Martians. As people listened, some began to panic because the broadcast seemed real. Some people called their friends and relatives to warn them. Others alerted local police stations to the danger. Still others reportedly ran out into the streets, into the parks, and into their cars, hoping to escape the invasion. Newspapers reported huge traffic jams and overloaded telephone lines. It was a terrifying night for both citizens and police alike. The next day, the newspapers told the fake news broadcast. The headlines claimed that thousands of people had heard and believed, but none of it was true. So now I'm going to identify the cause of the events and the effect of the events that took place in the story The Night the Martians Landed. So the cause. Many listeners tuned in late and missed hearing Welles' explanation that they were listening to a radio play, so it was fake. Because of that, those listeners believed they were hearing a live news broadcast. And that leads us to another cause. Those same listeners believed Martians were invading Earth. So as a result, the effect is many people panicked. So events and stories have a reason why they happen, and then they have results for the events. So we just had to identify those in our story. Your independent work today is a Common Lit assignment called They Need Fire. Remember, you are reading the entire story and then answering the guided questions as you read. Have a great Thursday.